Alright, recently I did a video on D2L, specifically looking at the assessment tool in D2L and using it for informal assessments with regards to class flipping. This is a very important concept when flipping a class. We need to check for understanding frequently so that we don't leave anyone behind. And we also need to check for mishearing or misunderstanding the information presented. In that video, I alluded to the fact that I would coming back and looking at Google Documents to do something the equivalent of what is done in D2L's assessment tool. The best tool in Google Documents for doing this is a Google form. So I'm in my Google Drive and I'm going to create a new form. I'll choose a theme for the form. And I'll go ahead and give this a title. Now, I can start putting in my questions. This is an informal assessment, so we wouldn't expect there to be a large number of questions. We'd expect it to be pretty quick. And since it's a Google document, I could share this with all my colleagues for an entire department, and we could work on assessments together, sharing questions, adding questions as we go. But since we have access to D2L, and since I had a situation arise with another teacher where they needed an assessment out of D2L for a different reason, I've just happened to have this assessment straight out of D2L that I've downloaded as a Word document. So I'm going to simply borrow their questions and responses since they're handy. So I'm going to just copy and paste very quickly their responses. So I've got my question, I've got my responses. If there's a hint I want to give, I could put it here. I'll make this a required question so they can't get out of it. Now, the most powerful part of the Google form is the ability to go to a specific page depending on what they answer. Alright, so I could have them, if I like what they say, I can have them continue. If I don't like what they say, I can send them to a different page. So how would this play out? Well, let's put this question away for the time being, and let's go ahead and insert a page break. Let's call this page Wrong Answer. Alright. Now, notice I said video. Well, that's because that's just what we're going to put on this page. On the page, I'm going to add an item, and the item I'm going to add is a video. Now, I could search YouTube for a video that matches the parameters of what I'm trying to teach. It just so happens that I already have just such a video here, so I'll copy that URL and I will simply paste it in here. YouTube will give me a nice preview. I'm going to select that. I can give a video a title. Not actually necessary, but you can do it. Alright, let's just center it up. And we're done. Now, I can go back to my original question and edit it. And if they get an answer I don't like, I can send them to the wrong answer page. Now let's quickly look at some of the other options for the confirmation page when they're done with their survey or with their assessment. We don't want to publish and show the link to the results, which will be in the form of a spreadsheet that will come to us, because we probably don't want them to see what their classmates responded. We also don't want them to allow them to edit their responses after they've submitted it. If we are not using one of the McConnell student accounts, then we probably want to make it public, which would mean we want to uncheck this so that we could share it on the web freely and let anybody use this assessment. If we do have some of the McConnell student accounts that I've created, and if you would like to use them, please see me and I can get you some, then we would require that, and we would also then probably want to automatically collect their name, and then we'll show them a progress bar too, just to be nice. Alright. So let's add one more question to our assessment before we take a look at it. So I'm going to add an item. This time, instead of a multiple choice or checkbox or choosing from a list, I'm going to actually ask for a long answer. I can give them a hint, of course, again. And here, I can do something akin to character recognition. I can ask that this be validated before they're allowed to submit it. What does that mean? Well, when they type in their answer, Google is going to look at their answer, and it's going to either make sure it has a certain number of characters in it, or, more importantly, that it contains a specific pattern of words. So, if I want to make sure that their response contains somewhere in it these two words, I simply check this, choose regular expression, and put in the words. Let's make this a required question as well. Now, one last thing we need to do before we're ready to turn this assessment loose. The wrong answer page is, because of the way I've got it set up, is page 2, which means when they complete their assignment, by default, Google's going to want to send them to the next page, which is the wrong answer page. I don't want that to happen in this case. So after they're finished with this page of the assessment, I want them to go ahead and be allowed to submit the form. Now at that point, I could actually have another page on the form submission that takes them to the next video in the series or whatever I like. But let's go now and let's go actually look at what the students will see. So here's the live form. Notice that it's collecting my name because I'm logged in automatically. So let's choose a couple of things. I'm going to type in here, and notice that it won't let me submit that. But what if I insert that? Well, now it lets me move on, but because I got the wrong answer on the first question, I've still got to watch the video. So, assuming I watched the video, I'm ready to go back. I might want to try again. Now I'm ready to submit, and this is where I could have a link to the second video if I liked. So I'll submit my answer. Get this nice little screen. Now notice that I have responses to my assessment. This is again teacher view. So let's look at those responses. We can see the summary of the responses. We can get the responses as a spreadsheet if we like. And we can get a URL that we could then share with other people if we wished. And that is how to use a Google form for an informal assessment.